is Friday, March 3rd, 2023, and I am pumped today. It is a glorious morning for your daily sports betting brand of record. We call it the Early Edge. I am the coach, just trying to run this train and keep it on the tracks. We are powered, as always, by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all sports betting, and it's not close. Now, there's nobody happy this morning because all of you haters, and I saw you yesterday on the show, burying my picks. So what did I go out last night and do? Oh, my goodness. 3 check marks next to my name. And those of you who didn't tell me, you're upset too. Not a bad day, kind of ho-hum day, but I'm just going to tout myself. But today, when we get to Friday, no matter what Thursday was like, when you get out of bed, you have to ask yourself, how good are you? How good are you? Are you better than us? Can you beat us? Well, we want you to prove it. Right now, it is time. We are in the month of March, and we want you to participate. That's right, in our March Madness Bracket Challenge. There's the QR code on your screen right now. Or you can go to tinyurl.com/earlyedgebracket to lock it in right now. It's about tournament glory. It's about legacy. It's about finding out if you're better than EC at college basketball. And God, I hope you are. All right, now, when you wake up every single morning, you have to go into work. You have to pick yourself up, and you got to do it yourself. But there's one day a week. There's one day a week when we help you. When we say, you know what? We will help you get to where you need to go. There's only one show that even thinks like this. So, ladies and gentlemen, settle in. You know what time it is. Big Pick Energy Friday.
What?
What?
Yeah.
We'll lay it in post.
Let's go. Let's go.
Started. Oh, you know them. You love them. These three. Oh, I love seeing their faces every single Friday morning. First and foremost, he's the reason we named this show this. Ladies and gentlemen, say good morning to the one and only Chip Patterson. Good morning, Chip.
Good morning, Coach. We got to bring that extra. Where those horns? We will bring those horns. It's okay. Good morning, Coach. Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, Early Edge fam. So great to be with all y'all. Let's get this thing started.
Let's go. Now, next, he is the counselor of cash, and he cashed a round 1 ticket yesterday. The man is laser focused when it comes to his golf. Sia Nejad. Good morning, sir.
We cashed a round 1 ticket, and if you recall 2 days ago when I gave out the Providence Fries, which ended up losing, I also gave out my favorite head-to-head, which I pulled from the early wedge, and it was none other than, I believe, Ricky Fowler over Aaron Wise, and he's up by 10 shots. So that one's going to cash today. So, yeah, this golf run is good. It's just a question of anybody going to catch Jon Rahm.
That is the question right now. He is tied at the top. He's actually left some out there this morning. He's playing as we speak on PGA Tour Live on ESPN Plus, if you care to watch him. Next week at this time, if you tune in to PGA Tour Live, you'll hear your boy calling the Players Championship.
Let's go.
Feed. You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, finally, I don't know why he puts that stupid look on his face in the morning as he gets ready to get introduced. There's only one. And he's on our team. Buckets. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Always love being here for that Big Pick Energy Friday. And the good news is we can only move up from yesterday as Real Madrid, for the first time since 2010, did not have a single shot on target in a home game. Excited to bounce back today.
You know what's funny is you see those, there's always those 2 or 3 people on Twitter that if they lose a bet, all of a sudden it's our fault because we were out there playing. You do everything right. And the stat that you just said, 13 years, and somehow we're supposed to predict that yesterday? Come on, people.
And their only shot that did go on target was an own goal in the process. So it was just a mess all around. It is what it is. Excited to move on, man.
There's a reason you don't see anybody on Twitter touting soccer yesterday because everybody was on the right side. Come on. Oh, those people drive me crazy. They really, really do. But guess what? Not on Big Pick Energy Friday. I am fired up, ready to go. Storylines that could affect the betting lines today. And see, I'm coming to you first because right now, I just said it. Jon Rahm is on the course. Since I believe I heard the stat yesterday, and I want to make sure I have this right. It's been 8 or 9 months since he has finished outside of the top 10. This year alone, he's had 3 victories since the start of the season. This man is on another level. Start us off.
He's on another level, but you're right. So it's funny because every Friday we end up talking about Jon Rahm at the front end of the show because he's always at the top of the leaderboard. And again, in golf where there's so much volatility, it's really incredible. It's Tiger Woods-esque that this guy is just keeps clipping the number 1 mark day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. However, you're right. He has left some on the field, if you will. He's on the 10th hole right now, I believe. He's even par. It's going to be tough conditions out there today, but not as tough in the morning. So you would think Rahm would be a couple under. There are really talented guys in the chase pack. So this thing is not over. Our outrights that we put on the early wedge, some of them are very much in contention. We're going to have some live bets that we're probably going to want to make maybe at the end of the day today or tomorrow. Very live tournament.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I picked, by the way, 5 head-to-heads, and I'm ahead in 4 of them, tied on the other one. So, C is not the only one that can pick a little golf. He's not the only one. Now, I want you to, as Chip is giving his storyline, I want to know, and we kind of asked you the other day if you guys would want this. So I told you next week I'm calling the Players' Championship. So I'm kind of busy up until about 6 o'clock. So I'm going to miss early edge and 5 on a few days. But would you guys be interested in a 6:30 p.m. Eastern show to recap the players and to look forward to the big games that night in college basketball? And maybe Sia would even show up. Sia, would you show up for that? Would you?
I think I'd show up for that. That sounds really fun, actually.
All right. Well, if you guys want to see it, we don't just do it to talk to air. #yes. #yes. If you'd like to see a 6:30 p.m. Eastern show next week, maybe every night. Who knows? But let us know because we give it to you. Because right now in your feed, our brand new WCBC baseball show and our MMA show. We did it yesterday. Check it out. They're live. Chip, I apologize. Now we are back to you. This is conference championship week, and everything gets shifted a little bit differently. Talk to me.
I like looking at these games where we have one team that is coming off a win and another team that is ready to go and they haven't played yet. Sometimes it's in the quarterfinals, sometimes it's in the second round, but it's the great debate that philosophers for centuries have always discussed. Is it rest or is it rust? Because we're going to start to see some of these teams, they're lower seeds in the tournament, they win, now they're going to take on a top seed. And this is where I think a lot of people get it wrong because yes, there is an opportunity to say they already played. They already played sometimes in that gym. They've got a little bit of momentum and they might have an opportunity to maybe nab or put a scare into that top seed, which will be favored by several possessions. But too many times I think people fall in that trap. So I would say if you're going to do the rest versus rust, we're going to go with the rust and take the team that just played. First half plays, y'all, because after you get into halftime, after you break that sweat, top seeds are top seeds for a reason. They bring that hammer down. And so maybe you want to jump in live. Maybe you want to take first half plays, but beware of these lower seeds. Just because they got that first sweat in does not mean that they have a big edge on the top seeds. Top seeds, especially in these lower leagues, are top seeds for a reason.
Remember that, because in March Madness, people love when somebody gets to the second weekend, Chip, don't they? Where they go, oh, I think that person can go to or that team can go to the Final Four. That's when the big boys show up. You got to be very careful where you're placing your bets and don't bet on hope. Don't hope that a lower seed is going to be the top seed. As Chip said, they're a top seed for a reason. Chip, thank you very much. Now, today, there's a little thing Eternal Derby. I just ruined my own flow trying to read that. What in the world are we talking about here? Buckets, you're up.
We're talking about the Eternal Derby, which is also known as the most violent soccer event in the world. It is a rivalry matchup between the two biggest teams in the Serbia Super League that both reside in the capital city of Belgrade. Red Star Belgrade versus Partizan Belgrade. It is going to be always an exciting match, but also a scary match, both as a spectator and as a viewer. If you ever want to attend this derby, you have to sign liability forms that state, as a fan, I understand that I could be hurt or worse in this game. And we have unfortunately seen multiple fans die just attending this matchup in recent years. These two teams play this afternoon, and it's always a wild time because this is a game where winning this matchup means more than winning the Champions League for these players. Expect goals in these games, expect cards in these games, and just be careful where you put your money on this game.
Ooh, But we will have a bet for that game coming up in a matter of moments. Buckets, thank you very much. Now, as you know, we have a brand new segment here on the show because we don't want to make it all just about picks. That's not what this business is about. Because when you do that, then you have your one or two people that come to a show and just want to complain. Never understood that. Because this is all about knowledge is power. This business is tough. But before we get to our marquee matchups, we got to pay those pesky little bills. Here's a word from one of our incredible partners.
Welcome to the UEFA Europa League on Paramount Plus.
What a night!
Your home for more ultra-competitive, world-class soccer. Where Europe's elite and soccer's Cinderellas pump out that one-of-a-kind white-knuckle excitement that grows with every cut, every cross, and each and every... The UEFA Europa League. Stream every match live exclusively on Paramount Plus.
All right, it is time for our marquee matchups of the day. And the first game we're going to start in the association. It's a big-time one in the Western Conference. It's the Grizzlies, it's the Nuggets, and the Grizzlies, when John Morant decides he wants to score, they play really, really well. It's funny how that happens. Sia, start us off. How are you leaning into this matchup tonight?
This one's really interesting because everybody's kind of like, listen, the Nuggets are a really good team. I wonder how good they are once we get to the playoffs. I mean, they seem to be the type of team that's really good in the regular season and stacks the wins, almost like Russell Westbrook stacked statistics like 3 years ago to win the MVP. I feel like that's a little Denver Nuggets-esque because I think once the playoffs start, we're going to see the teams like the Golden State Warriors, for example, step up, perhaps the Los Angeles Clippers, and so on and so forth. So this game in particular, I think is interesting because these are two really good teams. 5 points seems like a lot, but Memphis not playing very well. This total is out of control. Listen, I don't bet totals usually in the NBA. I'm not there yet, but I would probably have a lean towards the under here. But as far as against the spread, this one, it's such an efficient line for me. If anything, I would probably take the Nuggets minus the 5, as I think they probably pull away from the slumping Grizzlies late in the game. But this is going to be an electric and a really fun game to watch for sure.
And usually when games like this happen and the defense gets stepped up, I'm so glad you pointed out the total. That is ridiculously high. It should be around 233, 234. Yeah. But Chip, in the chat, Big Cheesy said it best. Jokic is a walking opportunity. He just had his 100th career triple-double the other night. It's amazing what he is doing. How are you preparing for this game?
Nugs, lay it, and don't look back. Memphis is one of the least trustworthy teams. They are not trustworthy. Like, I would not give Memphis the opportunity to babysit my sons. I would not have Memphis house sit for me. I'd be afraid that if Memphis was house sitting for me, I'd come back and everything would be gone, sold, and Memphis would be off to the next state. Because Memphis, when it hits the road, 10, 18, and 2 against the spread. When Memphis is an underdog, 3 and 8 against the spread. And where is this game being played? It's in Denver, where the Nuggets are 21, 10, and 1 against the spread, hitting at a 67% clip. I do not trust Memphis. And the C is 100% right. Like, I will be moving to a fade Denver position in general when we get into the playoffs, but this ain't the playoffs yet, baby. I take Denver. I lay the short number. I think Joker absolutely leads them to a nice win. I would take it all the way up to 7.
And sometimes a mistake can lead right into our takes from a game. Mistakes happen. We have the wrong total up there. It's not 239.5. What did I just say it should be? 233, 234. Yeah. It's 234.5 is actually the right number. So that's exactly where this game should be. I'd still go under, but that's where it should be, 234.5. All right, now hang tight, gentlemen, on your basketball thoughts and your golf thoughts. Whoever's asking for a golf play, don't worry. He's got you covered. But there is a Bundesliga game today. And last year, Buckets, Bundesliga meant both teams to score every single time. Not so much this year, but today could be that day. Talk to me. Dortmund and RB Leipzig.
Today could definitely be that day as we see the matchup between two of the best attacking teams in German Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund hosting RB Leipzig. Historically, this game has been fireworks. Over 2.5 goals has hit in 6 of the last 6 head-to-head matches, with BTTS hitting in 5 of those 6. These are two teams that score a lot because they have two of the best academies in the footballing world. They are constantly producing world-class attackers, and both of these teams are littered with goal scorers. The one thing I want everybody to remember here are two things. First of all, Dortmund has not lost a game in the new year. They have won 10 in a row across all competitions, spanning back to January 4th. I also want to remind everybody that RB Leipzig, yes, they are in good form right now, but 4 days from today, they have to travel to the Etihad to play Manchester City in that Champions League second leg. So they might rest some players here. This is one of those games where everything screams goals, but you want to wait for lineups because you want to be careful to make sure that Leipzig still go for goals here.
And that is why information is everything, ladies and gentlemen, especially in soccer. That's why you have to watch the show live. And I don't care what the picks do. I mean, I do. But use this information, because if it comes out today and Dortmund wins 3-0, you say, what happened? Don't blame buckets. They rested some players. That's why you got to understand how these things work. The Champions League, they make way more money getting farther in that than they do in the league. Correct, Buckets?
They do, Coach. And I want to point one thing out real quick here. I saw somebody tweeting yesterday saying that they won a bunch of money on that Real Madrid game because of our marquee matchups, because we mentioned we might not see goals in that game. So they bet the under and BTTS no, and somehow ended up cashing both of those. So take the information because it's valuable here.
Oh, but you didn't have a check mark next to your name, so you can't be any good. What information? We use that? Crazy. Yeah, I'm a little bit chippy this morning. Oh, you haters out there. It's crazy. Listen to the information. Oh, my God. All right, Buckets, thank you very much. Now it's time to get to our board for the day, and we've got some incredible picks. And you know what? Because the golf is going to be starting very soon, Sia, we got to start with you. And I got to tell you, I absolutely love your two plays today. Start us off.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking of using the information, one thing we pointed out, or I pointed out specifically when we talked about the marquee matchups yesterday, the Mavericks versus the Sixers, was that I like the Mavericks in a moneyline parlay. Plus, I like them minus the 4, which of course both covered. And I remember some people in the chat kind of being against that. So just kind of want to point that out. It's not necessarily an official pick, of course, but when we're talking about the marquee matchups specifically, we have some plays there, at least some leans. So it's something to pay attention to outside of the narrative itself. Okay, my two plays. Let's start Wyndham Clark over Alex Noren. This is such an interesting one. I'm surprised the line hasn't moved from last night. Wyndham Clark is minus 110 over Alex Noren. He is coming in playing way better golf than Alex Noren. But that's just a very simple comment, but it's a very true comment. The thing is, the conditions are going to be really tough this afternoon, and that's kind of where Alex Noren excels. But if we look at his recent form and we look at his form from yesterday, it's not very good. Wyndham Clark, on the other hand, the ball striking has been very good. The short game can be a problem relative to Alex Noren. But I love the ball striking. I love the recent form. I'm taking Wyndham Clark minus 110 today over Alex Noren. That is over on DraftKings. So I scoured a little bit, somewhat, FanDuel and Caesars and some of those places too, because I wanted to provide a second bet if you don't bet on DraftKings. Here it is. It's Aaron Rai, who played excellent yesterday, by the way, and I don't think he's going to be super intimidated by these conditions. He's plus 115 over at Caesars in a 3-ball against some newcomers that we've talked about before on this show, specifically Cootie, but it's plus 115 against Thurston Lawrence and Pearson Cootie. I like Aaron Rai here. He is just, in terms of who is really has the pedigree so far in their career, it is Aaron Rai over these two guys. I love how he played yesterday, and I think he's going to continue that play in large part over these guys. I think this is a really good number in a 3-ball for Aaron Rai, so give me that one.
And something to add today, if you're looking at different matchups, there's going to be heavy wind. Part of the reason Sia picked Aaron Rai, he's good in the, say it all with me, wind. So, wind. Say it with me, wind. Thank you. So if you see a good ball striker, if you see a good iron player, play them today, because we're seeing the top players in the world struggle just to stay around even par. It's going to be a tough day today. Tough day today. See, by the way, real quick, what did you make of the changes next year? This event will be no cut, only 70 players, the top players, and then the hottest players can play their way in. Do you like those changes?
So my immediate reaction to change in something that I really love is that I don't like it, because I really love the current setup. I really love betting and watching golf. So of course, anytime there's change, it's kind of like with March Madness coming up when they expanded the field from 64 to 68. Did any of us really love that? We're like, geez, I'm not so sure about that. Now I think it's okay. I'm kind of ho-hum about it. But the point back to golf is, I don't love it because I like the storylines that can sometimes be created with the guy who might be ranked 85th in a big tournament emerging, like an Eric Cole last week, for example. With all that said, it's only going to be a certain number that are going to exclude some of these guys that I'm talking about. So I think, Coach, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's only 13 tournaments total in the year that are going to be no-cut tournaments. It's not a preference of mine, but that's not going to be a number that's going to be so dominant across the board that it's going to seem like every tournament is like that. So I'm okay with it long-term.
Okay. I like that answer. Now, here on the show, we are the most transparent show out there. And if one of us makes a mistake, not only will we own it, but I will do something to make it up to you. Buckets, you made a mistake. Do you know what your mistake is?
I do not.
The game between Man City and RB Leipzig, you said is in 4 days, correct?
Correct.
It is not. It is on March 14th, which is 11 days from now, not 4 days from now. All right? So here's what we're going to do. Yeah, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. We're going to have not one, but two winners today. We're going to call it the Mistake by the Lake, just because it rhymes. And Bucket lives near the lake of Lake Erie. I never say where he lives, but he lives up that way. So we're going to have two winners, cold hard cash, $100. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do, so I need a couple of minutes. But if you want to play, write hashtag Mistake Buckets into the chat. Hashtag Mistake Buckets into the chat, and you'll be eligible. And as you guys know, no strings attached. You get it straight from my account, and then you can play it and bet on one of these games. All right, so Buckets, try to focus right now. All right, don't second guess yourself. Everybody makes mistakes. I do it every single day. I just cover it up better than others. All right, so we already heard your storyline on the Belgrade game, but I would love to know what your actual best bet is. Talk to me.
I do have a best bet for this one, and I'm looking at Red Star Belgrade to absolutely dominate Partizan here. I'm looking at Red Star Belgrade on that over 1.5 goals team total, currently at minus 120. And there's about 100 layers we could peel back in the Eternal Derby, but I just want to touch on a couple. First of all, Red Star Belgrade drew the last time in the Eternal Derby, in which their manager said it was one of the most embarrassing days of his career. This is a team that is not looking for a repeat draw. This is a team that is looking to make a statement. And this is a team in front of their home fans are one of the most home field dominant teams in the soccer world. Their rivals, Partizan Belgrade, also earlier this season, fired their manager and a series of players for match fixing purposes. They were losing games on purpose. Ever since then, this team has not been at 100%. Expect a big game from the home team here. Then for our second pick here, I'm going to the Belgium Jupiler League and the matchup between KV Oostende and Club Brugge. And I want to draw an analogy here for everybody. When Sia and I do golf showdowns, he is Club Brugge and I am KV Oostende. Oostende is absolutely terrible. They are horrendous. They don't win. They have the second most goals conceded, the second least goals scored, and have the second most losses in all of Belgium. Meanwhile, Club Brugge started off very slow in the season, but have not lost a game in the new year. Take Brugge money line at minus 125. Don't overthink this one. Don't second guess this one. Trust the better team to win in that matchup. 245 this afternoon.
Oh, I absolutely love it. And if you're comparing you and Sia in this matchup, I'm just playing Club all day.
And Coach, real quick, I do want to point out Dortmund plays in 4 days against Chelsea in that second leg. So I did get the teams mixed there, but you could see Dortmund potentially rest players instead of Leipzig. Just want to throw that out there.
It happens, especially when you have all these different dates. And everybody knows, if you bet soccer and you pull them up on your phone, they're all right there. And if the date's not, it's easy to do. It's easy to do. But it's going to be, somebody's going to be able to benefit from that. So I'm cool with that mistake. It's not a big deal. Hang tight, Buckets. I got something for you. All right. You guys know when we get to this time of the show, no matter what's happened, no matter where we are, we can always count on this. Ladies and gentlemen, there is only one. Chip Patterson, the floor is yours.
First, I got to do this for Fred in the chat because we were talking about what you need for ball strikers, and he did mention that it's gonna be windy in Orlando. That's right. So anyway, let's get this thing going, and I got to get it out quick because we got to tip off at 12 p.m. Eastern time, high noon in the Big South tournament. We got the 1 seed, UNC Asheville, going up against Charleston Southern. This is another situation where don't get suckered into taking Charleston Southern in the rest versus Russ. The top seeds are top seeds for a reason. We are going to take UNC Asheville, and we're going to lay the 9. They won 15 of their final 16 games in the regular season. From an efficiency standpoint, they've been getting better and better and better and better and better. And in the 2 games against Charleston Southern, they won by 10 on the road. They won by 18 points at home. Asheville, just a short 2-hour drive. Just go east on 40, down 321, get on 85. Boom. You are in Bojangles Coliseum, and you are able to be there if you are a UNC Asheville student. You could even get back in time for dinner. So we're going to take UNC Asheville, and we're going to lay the 9 points. I talked about the regression monster. He comes for us all, and he's been coming for Kent State. But in the final game of the regular season, we're back in our bag, baby. We're cashing with the flashes. Let's take Kent State, and let's lay the 4. Big revenge spot against a rival, Akron in town. And, of course, we've got Kent State at home. Kent State is 17-10-1 against the spread on the season, 8-4 against the spread at home. They have failed to cover in their last 3. Again, I've been bringing my cashes with the flashes card and been getting the on the card reader error, but I think that we get back. I think we get right. Kent State also a little bit still in the mix in terms of seeding, in terms of being able to share a conference regular season crown. That game at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So I got you a 12. I got you a 6. How about a late night game here on this Friday? We are going to go out to Fort Collins, 11 p.m. Eastern time tip between New Mexico and Colorado State, and we are targeting the over. Obviously, New Mexico, with its pace, has been a team you're always looking at overs on the season. And Colorado State is not necessarily grading out as either a very slow or very fast team. 249 nationally is a little slow. 7th of 11 Mountain West teams in conference play. But how about this little tasty nug? Shout out to AB. 11-3 is the record for overs in Colorado State home games. Maybe it's the altitude in Fort Collins. I think that this is a situation where New Mexico, in an empty the bucket type moment, they've been really disappointing in conference play. They're going to get up and down the floor. Colorado State will oblige, and we cash this over.
Oh, I absolutely love those 3. These are great positions. I love the second or third day of a conference tournament because when you have a top seed that's either been resting or didn't get tested, this is where the separation happens. And these next 2 days, oh, they can really be good if you can find these spots. Now, people are still trying to figure out in the chat. Well, actually, this one. Sia, one guy says his book has Clark against Lee. Would you still like that matchup?
Yeah, I saw that. By the way, full names, please. There are literally 3 Lees in this tournament. However, I assume you're talking about Min Woo Lee, who didn't have a great day yesterday. I think Min Woo Lee is okay. So I like your bet, kinda, but it's not something I would put my money on. If you want me to give you a lean, it is Wyndham Clark. One really quick thing I want to point out too, Coach, is that yesterday on Twitter, I put out a couple live plays because I can't come here and put out the live plays because they're gone. The tournament started 3 hours ago. And I put out one singular live play, and it was Tyrrell Hatton at 70-1. You know, we were on him outright previous to the tournament at 35-1. But I said, this is good value. This is a good number. And listen, Rahm is at the top, so it's one of those things where it's probably not going to come in, but it's still good value to speculate on. Well, now he's 20-1 because he's 3 under and he's caught up 3 strokes on Jon Rahm. Does that mean he's going to win? No. Does that mean it was probably a good suggestion and maybe you should have followed? That's up for you to decide. But I'm just saying sometimes because of the timing, I might put something out on Twitter or on SportsLine that it's going to be late to this party at 10 o'clock. Keep that in mind.
And I would say that we talk about knowledge is power all the time. What C is saying, here's a perfect situation that we talk about, that when you have a tournament like this, we talked about on the early wedge, when guys can have double, triple bogeys at any hole, that's when you jump on one of these. Because if you're playing a tournament where they get to minus 28 or minus 29, you can't catch a Jon Rahm. Right? But you can catch him in this tournament. Last year, the winning score was minus 5. Only 10 guys broke par. So volatility is what you want when you play a 70-1 in tournament. Knowledge is power, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Now, buckets. Before I get to the recap, so many people have typed hashtag mistake buckets. I also need your Venmo as well. All right. So, spell for me. Partisan Belgrade, and I only need partisan. I'm making it easy for you.
You only need partisan?
That's it.
Partizan.
Boom, 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 boom. All right, we got one winner. Snake, I need one winner. All right, but I'm going to go two because I feel so bad. By the way, somebody in the chat says, why would Dortmund rest players when they are level at the top of the league? Understand, we're talking about what, Buckets? $50 to $100 million if you win the Champions League, right? As opposed to $15 million?
Yeah, the Champions League will always be the priority over league play.
Always be the priority. So if you're looking at any matchups, understand that. Do a little bit of homework, and you figure out who plays in the Champions League and who's going to be out and not play for a week and a half or 2 weeks. Right now, that knowledge certainly is power. All right, now, number 2. Can you spell Borussia, the front name of Dortmund?
Borussia.
There we go.
All right.
Boom. You just rectified yourself. But I sure hope these picks hit today. I really, really do. All right, grab your paper, grab your pencil. Here is the recap, courtesy of the Snake doing all the hard work. By the way, everybody, you haven't seen AB for a couple of days. He's a little bit under the weather. How about a little hashtag get better AB in the chat? Because I can promise you the man needs it. Big part of our crew, and he's down right now. So hashtag get better AB. Let him know you're thinking about him. The counselor, he's on Wyndham Clark, -110 over Alex Noren. This is a round 2 play. Then a 3-ball way. Very smart. Add a player that maybe doesn't even matter, and you can bring those odds way down. Aaron Rye, +115 over Tristan Lawrence and Pearson Coody. By the way, Pearson Coody's already won twice on the Korn Ferry Tour. He is fresh out of the University of Texas. He is going to be a star, but not today. Then Chip, 3 plays from college basketball. UNC Asheville, -9 up there in the mountains. And Kent State, -4. They will cover today, finally. And then New Mexico, Colorado State, over 152.5. Both teams like to get it up and down. Then Buckets, today is the day. We headed back in the right direction. Red Star Belgrade, it starts at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Team total over 1.5. We don't even care who wins the game. We just need 2 goals from that team. Then Club Brugge on the money line, -125. All right. For those of you who are fans of Big Pick Energy Friday, and this is our biggest audience of the entire week, so there are a lot of you that know that at the end of the show, we deliver one more time just for fun, because we like to point out that it's not just America where sports are played. It's not just the United States. Think bigger. Think around the world. So I have tasked my man, and today we're going to keep it very simple because I want to cash this week. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the Here or There Parlay. All right, Buckets. I only need a 2-part. We don't need to get fancy this week. Just give me 2 that we can put together and be happy about it. Talk to me.
We're just going to keep it 2, Coach. We're not going for that EC type parlay energy. Hasn't been working out for us in the past, so we're focusing in this weekend. Both of these picks are for tomorrow's matches. I got a little bit of here, which is a team that we've heard of, and a little bit of there, which maybe we haven't all heard of. This is a 2-part anytime goal scorer parlay, and we're starting with Bukayo Saka, anytime goal scorer. He is a player for Arsenal, and the matchup between Arsenal and Bournemouth. Arsenal just won 4-0 earlier this week against Everton, and now they play a Bournemouth side that has a worse defense than Everton. Bukayo Saka has scored in 4 of his last 5. He is in form, and he is finding chance after chance after chance in these big games. Parlay him to score with one of our classics, Eimer Valencia, striker for Fenerbahce, as they take on Kayserispor, as the Turkish Super League has returned and is back into official play. Eimer Valencia came back his very first game and scored twice, both in the first half. He now has 23 goals scored over 19 matches, leading the Turkish Super League as a whole. Both of these 2 to score tomorrow afternoon, +400.
Man, that's amazing. That Saka goal, the first one that he scored yesterday or their last game, that was sick. That was absolutely sick. This kid is dynamic. He is absolutely dynamic. All right, Buckets. You know, Buckets, it's kind of nice because we go through this every year, but you've never gone through this before. We call it the post-NFL hangover, that nobody can understand why it happens, but it happens, and it's not fun. But today is when we go back the other way. Today is where the post-NFL drip, it's over, and it starts right here. Gentlemen, well done as always. Way to bring the energy and the information. And Mikey, thank you for being in the chat. I forgot to mention that. He was in the chat. Many of you knew that, giving great information as always. Have a great Friday. Pay it forward. Be positive. Understand we're all in this together, whatever it is that you're going through. All right? So with all that being said, there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, I love them all. Chip, Counselor, Buckets, Snake on the ones and the twos, and you guys don't even know what Snake is doing these days. So much work on his plate, and he's doing it without complaining. That's what we're all about. We're a crew, and you're a part of it. We grind for you so we can win with you. That's what we're all about right here at the Early Edge. Good luck.